Hello guys. Welcome to my channel. Hope you like it and enjoy it. Subscribe to my channel for more videos.
Somalia are an East Cushitic ethnic group native to the Horn of Africa who share a common ancestry, culture and history. The Somali language is the shared mother tongue of ethnic Somalis, which is part of the Cushitic branch of the Afroasiatic language family, and are predominantly Sunni Muslim. They form one of the largest ethnic groups on the African continent, and cover one of the most expansive land masses by a single ethnic group in Africa. According to most scholars, the ancient land of Punt and its native inhabitants formed part of the ethnogenesis of the Somali people. An ancient historical kingdom where a great portion of their cultural traditions and ancestry has been said to derive from. Somalis share many historical and cultural traits with other Cushitic peoples, especially with lowland East Cushitic people, specifically the Afar and the Saho. Ethnic Somalis are principally concentrated in Somalia, around 16 to 20 million. Somali diasporas are also found in parts of the Middle East, North America, Western Europe, African Great Lakes region, Southern Africa and Oceania. Somali, the oldest common ancestor of several Somali clans, is generally regarded as the source of the ethnonym Somali. One other theory is that the name is held to be derived from the words Su and Mal, which together mean go and milk. This interpretation differs depending on region, with northern Somalis imply it refers to go and milk in regards to the camel's milk. Southern Somalis use the transliteration sa mal, which refers to cow's milk. This is a reference to the ubiquitous pastoralism of the Somali people. Another plausible etymology proposes that the term Somali is derived from the Arabic for wealthy, zawamal, again referring to Somali riches in livestock. Alternatively, the ethnonym Somali is believed to have been derived from the Automali, Asmak, a group of warriors from ancient Egypt described by Herodotus, who were likely of Meshwesh origin according to Flinders Petrie. Asmak is thought to have been their Egyptian name, with Automali being a Greek derivative of the Hebrew word smali, meaning on the left-hand side. An ancient Chinese document from the 9th century CE referred to the northern Somalia coast, which was then part of a broader region in northeast Africa known as Barbara, in reference to the area's Berber, Cushitic, inhabitants. The first clear written reference of the sobriquet Somali, however, dates back to the 15th century. During the conflict between the Sultanate of Ifat based at Zila and the Solomonic dynasty, the Abyssinian emperor had one of his court officials compose a hymn celebrating a military victory over the Sultan of Ifat's eponymous troops. Simar was also an ancient Harari alias for the Somali people. Somalis overwhelmingly prefer the demonym Somali over the incorrect Somalian, since the former is an endonym, while the latter is an exonym with double suffixes. The hypernym of the term Somali from a geopolitical sense is Horner, and from an ethnic sense, it is Kushite. The origin of the Somali people, which were previously theorized to have been from the Arabian Peninsula in the 11th century, has now been overturned by newer archaeological and linguistic studies, which puts the original homeland of the Somali people, which concludes that the Somalis are the indigenous inhabitants of the Horn of Africa for the last 7,000 years. Ancient rock paintings, which date back 5,000 years, estimated, have been found in Somaliland. These engravings depict early life in the territory. The most famous of these is the Los Geel complex. It contains some of the earliest known rock art on the African continent and features many elaborate pastoralist sketches of animal and human figures. In other places, such as the Dambalan region, a depiction of a man on a horse is postulated as being one of the earliest known examples of a mounted huntsman. Inscriptions have been found beneath many of the rock paintings, but archaeologists have so far been unable to decipher this form of ancient writing. During the Stone Age, the Doyan and Hargesan cultures flourished here with their respective industries and factories. The oldest evidence of burial customs in the Horn of Africa comes from cemeteries in Somalia dating back to 4th millennium BC. The stone implements from the Jalelo site in Somalia are said to be the most important link in evidence of the universality in Paleolithic times between the East and the West. The citadel of Gondarsh was an important site in the medieval Ajuran Empire. In antiquity, The ancestors of the Somali people were an important link in the Horn of Africa, connecting the region's commerce with the rest of the ancient world. Somali sailors and merchants were the main suppliers of frankincense, myrrh and spices, items which were considered valuable luxuries by the ancient Egyptians, Phoenicians, Mycenaeans, and Babylonians. According to most scholars, the ancient land of Punt and its native inhabitants formed part of the ethnogenesis of the Somali people. The ancient Puntites were a nation of people that had close relations with pharaonic Egypt during the times of Pharaoh Sahur and Queen Hatshepsut. The pyramidal structures, temples and ancient houses of dressed stone littered around Somalia may date from this period. In the classical era, the Microbians, who may have been ancestral to the Otomali or ancient Somalis, established a powerful tribal kingdom that ruled large parts of modern Somalia. They were reputed for their longevity and wealth, and were said to be the tallest and handsomest of all men. The Microbians were warrior herders and seafarers. According to Herodotus' account, the Persian Emperor Cambyses II, upon his conquest of Egypt, 525 BC, sent ambassadors to Microbia, bringing luxury gifts for the Microbian king to entice his submission. The Microbian ruler, who was elected based on his stature and beauty, replied instead with a challenge for his Persian counterpart in the form of an unstrung bow. If the Persians could manage to draw it, they would have the right to invade his country, but until then, they should thank the gods that the Microbians never decided to invade their empire. The Microbians were a regional power reputed for their advanced architecture and gold wealth, which was so plentiful that they shackled their prisoners in golden chains. After the collapse of Microbia, several ancient city-states, such as Opon, Essina, Serapion, Nikon, Melo, Damo, and Mazalon near Cape Gardafui, which competed with the Sabaeans, Parthians, and Axumites for the wealthy Indo-Greco-Roman trade, also flourished in Somalia. Berbera was the most important port in the Horn of Africa between the 18th to 19th centuries. For centuries, Berbera had extensive trade relations with several historic ports in the Arabian Peninsula. Additionally, the Somali and Ethiopian interiors were very dependent on Berbera for trade, where most of the goods for export arrived from. During the 1833 trading season, the port town swelled to over 70,000 people, and upwards of 6,000 camels laden with goods arrived from the interior within a single day. Berbera was the main marketplace in the entire Somali seaboard for various goods procured from the interior, such as livestock, coffee, frankincense, myrrh, acacia gum, saffron, feathers, ghee, hide, skin, gold and ivory. 88. Historically, the port of Berbera was controlled. According to a trade journal published in 1856, Berbera was described as the freest port in the world, and the most important trading place on the whole Arabian Gulf. The only seaports of importance on this coast are Faila, Zila, and Berbera. The former is an Arabian colony, dependent of Mocha, but Berbera is independent of any foreign power. It is, without having the name, the freest port in the world, and the most important trading place on the whole Arabian Gulf. From the beginning of November to the end of April, a large fair assembles in Berbera, and caravans of 6,000 camels at a time come from the interior loaded with coffee, considered superior to Mocha in Bombay, gum, ivory, hides, skins, grain, cattle, and sour milk, the substitute of fermented drinks in these regions. Also much cattle is brought there for the Aden market.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more history.